Welcome to Grieving Insomniacs. I am your host, Christy Haberman. I am glad you're here. Thanks for being a part of our community. A few disclaimers before we get started. I am a licensed therapist. However, this podcast is not to be considered mental health therapy or counseling. It is for entertainment purposes only and is not associated with my counseling practice, Christy Haberman Counseling Services. Thanks for showing up. Welcome to Grieving Insomniacs. This is your host, Christy Haberman, and Kai the Wonder Dog. Kai's not doing so well. I think her time to cross the Rainbow Bridge is getting closer. And it was an interesting experience yesterday. So she was fine on Friday. And Saturday morning, she seemed to be all right. And then she threw up, which is not unusual for dogs. It is unusual for Kai, but she threw up. And then she laid down for 6 hours and didn't move. Did not move. Didn't get up to go outside. Didn't go to the bathroom. Didn't. And she follows me around the house. She wasn't going anywhere. She just stayed in the living room. And ever since Kai had her surgery in January, we have known that Kai has cancer. We had the tumors taken off her anal glands. But we knew, and they told us that more than likely there's tumors elsewhere in her body, and we knew that. But we also knew that surgery had been so painful for her that we weren't going to do any extraordinary measures for her. And on Saturday, because she hadn't moved, she'd put her head up and then she'd fall over, and she'd put her head up and then she'd fall over, and we were really getting scared. And we had kind of decided that it would be more humane if we took her to the vet, got her checked out, and see if it was time to put her to sleep. Because it really looked like she was in a lot of pain. And since she couldn't move, we thought, we went and got a blanket, and we were going to make a sling to pick her up and take her out to the car, because Kai's a big girl at 50 pounds. She's about 20 pounds overweight. We've actually put her on a diet, but that's what we've done. She rolled over, she looked at both of us, got up, and walked outside. And we just looked at each other like, that is the strangest thing we've ever seen. Kai made it absolutely abundantly clear that if she was going to die, she wanted to do it at home. And we are going to honor her request. So she went outside and she went to the bathroom for the first time in 6 hours. She hadn't eaten all day. My husband gave her some food and she ignored it. And about 10 o'clock last night, she ate some food and she walked upstairs. And so she's doing a little bit better today. And that got me thinking. I was almost panicking. Because I got Kai in 2009. I actually rescued her from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Tried to convince my husband she was a Chihuahua. She is not. She's part Corgi and part something else. I'm not sure what. Anyway, she's been my constant companion for years now. And when Christopher died and I couldn't sleep, I would get up in the middle of the night and Kai would come and be with me. At that time, she was big enough to sleep under the bed. That's where she prefers to be, is under the bed. Now she still sleeps with at least her head underneath the bed because she can't fit her whole body under there. But she would get up with me every night. She was always there after Christopher died. And now I'm looking at the real possibility that my constant companion, my support animal, my support person, my everything when it came to Christopher dying is getting ready to cross the Rainbow Bridge. And I'm a little scared to go to work because I'm afraid that I'm going to come home and she's going to pass while I'm gone. And it just got me to thinking because and last night I was thinking, what are the chances? What are the chances that Kai is going to pass on Christopher's death day? So the anniversary of Christopher's death is next Monday, June 19th. And I thought I was doing better until last night when she was starting to die, and we really thought she was. And I'm still not so sure she's not. She's ate a little bit. She's drinking. She ate a little bit tonight, but she's just not being herself. And I started to panic because I was like, this can't happen to me twice. That I could lose someone that I love so much. But it will. But I was like, why does it have to be around Christopher's death day? And I knew it wasn't forever. And I've been looking for the past couple of months, I've been looking at other dogs and thinking about what's going to happen when she passes. I just didn't expect it to be now. And I just don't know what I'm going to do if it is now. And I think about Christopher. And I think about the choices people make. And I think about Christopher choosing to not have his family around when he died. So his first chemo treatment was on the 17th of June, which will be this week. And who knew that he would die 2 days later? I sure didn't. But I had a premonition. So when I got on the podcast today, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then I was like, are you really going to get on the podcast today, Christy, and avoid the elephant in the room? The elephant in the room is Christopher's death day is coming up on the June 19th. And what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do that day? My husband has to work, so I'll be alone that day. I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing. I just know that my grief has been much different this year. I don't know if it's because I've matured into my grief or if it's doing this podcast that has helped so much or just finding a community has helped so much. I'm just not real sure. Or I'm better at hiding it. And I think that might be the case. That I'm just better at hiding it. So I had graduation at my job. I don't think I talked about this on the podcast. It was March. Was it March 31st? Or was it May 22nd? Or May 25th? 26th? I don't know. Last graduation we have them every 3 months. Had to been the one on March 31st. Anyway, there's a guy at work. I don't know him very well. He's a teacher. It's just that normal small talk that I talked about a couple of episodes ago, where people think that it's an acceptable thing to talk about your kids. And, it might have been my fault for starting it. But I believe my comment to him, he was like, "Do you have kids?" I was like, "Oh, yeah." Said they're older than you. And come to find out, he's in his 40s. I can't judge ages very well. And then he goes, "Oh, yeah, how old are they?" And so then I tell him, and I pretend to act like Christopher is still alive. It's just easier that way. It's just easier that way for me. It's just how it has evolved for me. And I have to tell him Christopher died. Because they're like, "Oh, where does he live?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, Christopher died." And then they get that look. You know the look? If you've lost a child, you know the look. That as soon as you say your child died, they're like, can't get away from you fast enough. Like you're contagious, like you have some kind of disease. But it's all right. It is all right. I don't think he has any kids. I'm not sure. Anyway, I steered the conversation away from my deceased child. But then they played Leonard Skinner's Freebird, which was one of my Christopher songs. And I just started crying. So and I'm in the middle of this graduation that I'm supposed to be happy for the students that are graduating, and I'm bawling. And I'm like, please, no one see me cry. But why? It's like no one knows why I'm crying except for me. Maybe I'm just that moved by the music. But I wasn't. It was the grief. The grief coming out. So I haven't cried since then. But the nightmares are back. And I talk about this because I want other people to know this is what I experience. And I want to know, do you experience this too? Does this happen to you? So my nightmares are back. They're always the same theme. I lose somebody I love in various scenarios. My husband leaves me. My kids are little. There's some kind of accident. They die. Um, it's just so disturbing. And it's almost like I go back in time because there's a specific apartment I lived in. And in my dream, I'm in that apartment and I lose all my furniture and I don't have a place for my kids. And it's just like all these nightmare scenarios that you create inside of your head. And after 11 years of it, I know that this is just part of my grief process, getting ready to experience Christopher's death again. I don't know how else to explain it. Like I've been really busy at work. I can distract myself with work. I can fake it. I can talk to people at work. And no one knows the internal turmoil that's underneath the surface. I think I've just gotten that good at being fake that I don't think you would know unless you know me really, really well. I'm irritable. I started taking antidepressants again in February. I just had to. A lot of that's because of the work situation, just the amount of stress I have there. And that's really helped. I think that's helped this year. But I'm not sure that the masking is necessarily a good thing. And so I know my nightmares are just, I call them nightmares. They're not the classic signs of nightmares where you cry and do all of those things. But I do have dream residue left over from the next day. And I just know after all these 11 years, going on 12, that's my subconscious preparing me for Monday. And usually I have planned by now. I think I'm avoiding it. That it will actually be his death day. I never thought I'd experience this. I really didn't. I did not think that I would, like when I grew up, that I would have lost a child. And now it's here. Every year it rolls around, and so the Juneteenth is now a federal holiday, so I don't have to work, which is good. But if I didn't have to work, I would take it off. And I don't know what to do. Don't know what to do this year. So I went out to the grave this week. There's someone else's grave out there where Christopher is buried. I live in South Dakota. We have the Sturgis Bike Rally here. And they have these brass metal Packard, I guess they're called, plaques that stick in the ground to mark someone's grave. So every year I dig this plaque out of the ground. This person doesn't have a headstone. He was from Las Vegas. And I dig it out of the ground and try to raise it, because to me it's so sad that, and I don't know why he doesn't have a headstone. I don't know anything about it. I know that I looked his name up and saw that he died during the Sturgis rally, but that's all I know. But I pull it up every year because I think it's so sad that that's all that's left of him. And he doesn't have anyone to come and take care of his grave. So this year, I think it was Wednesday night, we went to the cemetery and I looked for it and I found it. I'm going to have to take a screwdriver and pull it up out of the ground, and, so like people can actually see someone's buried there. And I've always had this belief that you don't walk on graves, like you just stay away from them and you walk around them because it's someone's final resting place. And if no one knows he's there, then they're going to walk right over the top of him. And it's just something I do. I don't know. I just would hope that after I pass on and Christopher's tombstone is still there, gravestone, whatever you want to call it, that there'll be somebody that'll come along and be like, well, maybe I'll take care of this for them. Because it's just so sad. And I'm sure there's somebody in this world somewhere that thinks about him. I hope. And that misses him. But it's the least I can do to help. So back to, that's just something I do. So on Monday, I will go, and when I go to Christopher's grave, I'll be fixing up his grave too. And maybe I'll put some flowers there so people know it's there. Like, I don't know if the mowing people just mow around it or pushed it down, because it's like 6 inches in the ground. But I think I'll do that on Monday too. I'll take another spirit plate out to his grave. But I think the most important thing will be to remember him. So I have a t-shirt that I had made for the 1-year anniversary, and I'd like to make some more. I'm starting to realize that one of the ways I cope with my grief is to stay busy. and it's kind of hard on my health. I work more like 45 hours a week. I work 45 hours a week. Most of those days are without a break. I might break for lunch, but when you're always talking to your coworkers and stuff, I don't know that that's an actual break. So I don't have time where I am alone at work. Then I come home and I have a few clients that I'm still counseling. So I do that. And then I do this podcast. And I'm starting to realize that I don't have a lot of time. And I can't help but think that that's on purpose, especially now. And especially when I'm put off doing this podcast all day. Because it's like I talk about all of these painful things. But this critical one, this one that really matters, of Christopher dying, I'm finding very difficult to do. And I talk about doing rituals, and they haven't been helping me so much now. So maybe I'll make him some cheesecake and do the spaghetti this year. I know I'll probably go to the grave for sure. And I think I might listen to my Christopher music. And I always watch for signs from him. Always. And I hope that they get closer. And then I really wonder about Kai. And if she's going to make it through this week. Every day she's gotten a little bit better. She ate a little bit tonight, but I just don't know if she's going to make it. I mean, she's 13. She just turned 13 this June. And I just want her to... I want her passing to be peaceful, and I want it to not be painful. And I've watched a lot of documentaries about people that had near-death experiences and talk about how there's no pain and all of that. But at the same time, I am not ready to say goodbye. Not at all. And it's funny, last year, it's not funny. So we had Storm. Storm died last year in July. Bo died a couple of years before that in August. Now, Bo, we got in Louisiana, and Christopher knew him. Christopher did not know Storm as well. He did know Lacey, because we had gotten Lacey in Louisiana too. And so that's another thing, is like so much of my life that's gone by that he doesn't know. He doesn't know these things. And I'm like everybody else. Like, I want to believe that they're with us every day and they see us every day. And James Van Prague preaches that they're still with us. But it's hard. It's hard when you miss them. And it's hard on these anniversary dates. It's just hard. I don't know what else to say about it besides that. That it's hard. And then I think he probably misses me as much as I miss him. So if you have any ideas about what to do, leave me a message on Instagram. Grieving Insomniacs. I have an email, grievinginsomniacs@gmail.com. I don't get on there as much as I would like. Instagram's a much better place for you to get a hold of me. I also have Grieving Insomniacs on Facebook. I know that I would grow this podcast a little bit more if I would be more interactive. So I'm kind of stuck in this place where I got to be making some decisions about my life directions, and I just don't know where to go quite yet. So I want to thank everyone that listens to me, that checks in every week. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll give you updates on Instagram about Kai the Wonder Dog. I'm hoping that when we do the podcast next week, I may not do one. I will see how I feel. But if she passes, I may not be doing a podcast next week. So I may see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening. This is Christy and Kai the Wonder Dog signing off. And rest in peace, Christopher. We miss you.